Kumusta naman kayo mga kabrainy? Sana ay lagi kayong masigla, lagi kayong malakas, at lagi kayong excited na matuto. Ito na nga mga kabrainy, mag-uumpisa na tayo ng ating first lesson sa grade 7 science. Sino ba naman kasi ang hindi namamangha? Sino ba naman ang hindi napapahanga kung paano mag-discover ang mga scientists, kung paano sila mag-perform ng mga experiment, ng mga scientific investigation. Pero mga kabrainy, ano nga ba ang unang lesson natin sa grade 7 science? For our first lesson, it is the scientific ways of acquiring knowledge and solving problems. Yes, the goal or the objective for this lesson is to identify the components of scientific method. Yes, tama ka kabrainy. Iisa-isahin natin ano ba yung step-by-step process na sinusunod para sa isang simpleng investigation, para sa isang scientific experiment. Handa na ba kayo mga kabrainy? Tara, mag-start na tayo!
Let us have a simple experiment mga kabrainy. Ang mga materials natin ay galing lang sa kusina. See, kahit nasa bahay tayo, kayang-kaya talaga nating mag-aral. Let's start. Kailangan natin ng clear glass, tubig, honey, at oil. Huwag din nating kalimutan ang pangkulay. What did you notice with our materials, mga kabrainy? Pinagmasdan niyo ba sila? And because of that, we have our first step. And that is to make observations. Okay. May mga tanong ba kayo na nabuo sa inyong mga isipan base sa mga materials na nakuha natin sa ating kusina? These are the questions that we need to answer based on the given materials, mga kabrainy. First, what do you think will happen if we pour these three liquids in a glass?
Will these three liquids combine?
Is there a particular liquid that will sink or submerge? Or is there a particular liquid that will float? And how are we going to answer those many questions? Simply by performing the experiment. Yes, mga kabrainy. But before we proceed to the experiment, before we perform the simple investigation, let us have a hypothesis. And what is a hypothesis? A hypothesis is an educated guess, a possible answer to your questions. We will use two hypotheses. Hypothesis 1, the three liquid materials will mix with one another. Hypothesis 2, the three liquid materials will not mix with each other. Oil will float on top and honey will sink or submerge at the bottom. At bukod sa hypothesis, kailangan din nating i-consider ang mga variables para sa ating simple experiment.
We have variables that we're going to manipulate or change, and these are the different kinds of substances that we're going to use, such as oil, water, and honey.
And the variables that we will keep the same.
And that is the amount of the liquid material. We are going to use 1/2 cup of each liquid material.
And for the result, we are going to observe if there will be a separation of liquid materials that will happen or if they will mix with one another. The result is based on the different variables that we are going to change or keep the same. Experiment time na! Ito na nga mga kabrainy. Let us put into action all of the ideas, all of the things going on around on your mind, and let us see ano ba sa dalawang hypothesis natin ang mapapatunayan nating tama at yung isa naman ay medyo hindi tama. Tara mga kabrainy, start mag-start na tayo ng ating simple investigation. Umpisahan natin ang ating simple experiment sa paglalagay ng 1/2 cup of water sa isang malinaw na baso. Mag-observe tayo mga ka-brainy. Pagkatapos, mag-a-add tayo ng 1 drop of food color, kulay asul or blue. Haluin natin. Shake, shake, shake. Mix, mix, mix. Ayan na siya. Humalo ang pangkulay sa tubig. Ano kaya ang isusunod nating ilalagay, mga ka-brainy? Mahuhulaan nyo ba? Ito na nga. Magdadagdag tayo ng 1/2 cup of honey. Pagmasdan nyong mabuti, maghahalo ba ang honey at ang tubig na may kulay? Ayan na siya. Ubusin natin ang honey. Ayan na. Pagmasdan nyo, ano yung lumutang at ano yung naiwan sa ilalim? Ito naman ang huli nating i-add, 1/2 cup of cooking oil. Hahalo kaya ang cooking oil sa honey at water? Pagmasdan mabuti, mga ka-brainy. Ilapit natin. Ayan na siya. Ano kaya yung nakalutang sa ibabaw, mga ka-brainy? At ano yung naiwan sa ilalim? Ano naman kaya ang naiwan sa gitna? Bakit kaya hindi sila naghalo-halo? Nasagot ba ang inyong mga tanong?
Based on the result of our simple experiment, we had observed that oil, water, and honey did not combine. Oil floated and the honey sank.
Base sa result ng ating experiment, ano kaya ang masasabi nyo sa mga materials? Bakit kaya hindi sila pwedeng paghalo-haluin? Tama yun mga ka-brainy. Kasi magkakaiba sila ng density.
Based on the result of our simple investigation and on what we have observed, we can therefore say that oil, water, and honey have different densities. Oil is less dense than water, that is why it floated, and honey is most dense among the three, and that is the reason it sank.
Mga ka-brainy, let us discuss the different steps of scientific method.
The basic steps of scientific method. For our first step, tingin sa taas, sa baba, ligid-ligid, sa likod. Yes, tama yun mga ka-brainy. Our first step is to make observations. Napakaraming bagay sa paligid na kukuha ng iyong atensyon at curiosity at talaga namang mapapatulala ka. Mapapanganga ka. Diba mga ka-brain? And what comes next after you observe? Ano ba ang susunod? Pagkatapos mo mamangha? Pagkatapos mo mapatulala? Tama yun mga ka-brainy. May mabubuong mga tanong sa iyong mga isipan. The second step is to come up with a question. Talaga namang maraming katanungan sa iyong isipan. Paano? Saan? Bakit? There are so many questions. Kasi nga, gustong-gusto mo daw may matutunan. Tama yun mga ka-brainy. The third basic step of scientific method is to develop a hypothesis or prediction. But first, what is a hypothesis? A hypothesis is an educated guess, a possible answer to your question. Let's proceed. Pumunta naman tayo sa fourth basic step. Tama yun mga ka-brainy. Ito na yun. Ito na yung pinaka-excited na part. Ito na yung kahit ako nung nag-aaral ako, ito yung gusto-gusto ko eh. Ano kayong part yun? Perform the experiment or test your hypothesis. Tama yun mga ka-brain. Ito na yun. You will put into action all of the ideas, all of the things going around on your mind. Magpe-perform na kayo ng experiment or ng inyong investigation. At yun na mga ka-brainy, tapos na tayo mag-experiment, tapos na tayo mag-perform ng ating investigation. Nagsulat ka ba kung anong mga nangyari? Nilagay mo ba dyan sa notebook mo? Ano ba yung mga nakita mo? Nasagot ba ang iyong mga katanungan? Yes, mga ka-brainy. The next step is to record and analyze the results. Bakit kailangan kong pag-aralan itong mga na-observe ko, itong mga nakita ko na to? Bakit kailangan kong alamin? Ano nga ba? May makakatulong ba sa akin para masagot ang aking mga katanungan? Yes naman mga ka-brainy. Because based on the data that you gathered, you will now know if your hypothesis
Correct or not correct.
medyo may nalisya ba o napatotohanan ba ang iyong hypothesis base sa iyong data? Yes, ang galing naman mga ka-brainy. Ngayon, ayan na. Nasagot na yung mga tanong mo. Napag-aralan mo na daw yung mga data. Ano naman ang last step natin? Yes, mga ka-brainy. Our last step is to draw or make a conclusion. And what is a conclusion? Conclusion is the answer to all of those questions. It will prove or disprove your hypothesis. Mapapatutuhanan mo na daw kung tama ba yung mga prediction mo kanina, yung mga naisip.
I therefore conclude that the three liquid materials did not mix with each other, all floated on top and the honey sunk or submerged. And that is based on the result of our simple investigation. And we are done with the first lesson, mga ka-brainy. Let us do a recap of the basic steps of scientific method. How do we start with a simple investigation? It started with simple curiosity that led to stare and focus on an object. And what step is that? That is, yes, tama yon, making observations. Ano kaya yung kasunod na step? After observing, and when there are so many things going on your mind that needs proof and answer. Yes, correct. That is, come up with a question. How about making an educated guess? That is to formulate a hypothesis or prediction. Putting into action all of your ideas. Ano kaya yun mga ka-brainy? Yes, perfect. That is to perform the experiment or test your hypothesis. Ano kaya yung kasunod? You gather all the facts and study them. Tama yun mga ka-brainy. Record and analyze the results. And for the last part, it is to make a conclusion. At tapos na tayo mga ka-brainy. O diba mga ka-brainy, ang sayang matuto kahit nasa bahay lang tayo. Kasi nga, together, we will all learn science at home. Muli, I am Ma'am RV Estaris of Lamao National High School. See you soon again, guys. Bye!